hard.
Your laces.
Yeah, you know what? You really are. Yeah, because you're
all the little things.
They match your shoes and your pedals
and your laces and your socks.
We are at Cochran's. This is probably one of the lesser known hidden gems of Vermont in my opinion. But yeah, we just met Tom, who is the president
of the Fellowship of the Wheel.
Yeah, the president of the Fellowship of the Wheel. So if you're coming to Vermont or this area of Vermont and you want to see what trails are open, the Fellowship of the Wheel is where you want to go. They have a website and everything is very nicely laid out, I have to say. So this will be a rather interesting ride for us. Maybe not us, but for one particular person, Hailey, because we somehow tricked her into riding flat pedals. Now the reason we actually are riding with flat pedals, or she is because, yeah, we're gonna do some manual practice after the ride. The fun part about this area of trail is you're kind of dodging maple syruping lines. For those of you who don't know, maple syrup comes from maple trees, and you take you tap the trees, and all these lines are at a slight downhill, and you funnel all the sap to a central bucket, which you then boil down for the most part, and after a long time, you get maple syrup.
I had no idea, and I've never seen this. This is cool.
It's not usual that you have us have trails woven into the maple syrup lines like this.
It trusts mountain bikers.
Can't really stand up on these climbs because you get clotheslined.
How you doing, man?
See, typically you're supposed to yield to uphill riders, but in my opinion, downhill is more fun. So I like to yield to the downhill riders.
I've never understood that rule. It doesn't make sense.
I understand it from a sense that like the guys who are going uphill are working harder, but
when I'm going uphill, most of the time I'm looking for a reason to take a break.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not like you're interrupting my fun. You know what I'm saying?
You're cheating on your wife back at Highland.
Oh, I'm sorry. These maple trees are just amazing.
So if I didn't mention it, Hailey has only grown up riding clipless pedals. Oh, fun fact. So the reason why they're called clipless pedals when you clip in is because the original clip pedals were the kind that you used toe straps for. Those were considered clip pedals.
Death straps.
Yeah, and so when pedals came out that attached your foot to the pedals but didn't require the straps, those became clipless. And now it totally doesn't make any sense, but we still call it clipless pedals. But wow, this is very well built. Hats off to you guys, or whoever has been putting into labor for this stuff. So I'm personally not running my typical flat pedal shoes. I'm running these, which are still 510s, but the sole doesn't have the same curvature and platform as my Carvers. So I actually did slide off the pedal on the climb. That was actually a pretty brutal climb.
At the end, yeah, it's
Yeah,
tough.
it gets...
Because the end that part is actually part of the descent.
My feet actually slipped off the pedals, and I'm a flat pedal rider, and I noticed that you were all Gucci. So you've ridden flats in snow?
Yes.
Okay, so you have some experience. So she's kind of a liar.
No, I just haven't ridden, I haven't ridden flats in good condition. When I stand up out of my saddle, I'm used to pushing and pulling
Yep.
With just like, so faster turnover, more power while balancing out my weight, so not all the weight's on my front wheel. But with flats, I have to remind myself when I stand up that I cannot pull.
Sure.
And that I have to stay even more centered over my seat. Fear of flat pedals, because the first time I ever rode downhill, I rode flats but with running sneakers because I didn't have any other shoes and no one told me otherwise. And I got some of the biggest gouges in my calves and shins purely because I had no clue what I was getting myself into.
They were good pedals.
It was even bigger than those.
That's the biggest thing with flat pedals. Many people who try to ride with the flat pedals will run running shoes, which are good for running. They're terrible for making good contact with their pedals.
Yes. He went to the right.
Big frog!
You're gonna get a wart.
Look at him, he loves me. Look at me.
Yeah, because you're the... All right, Hailey's gonna be practicing her crank flips. So with flat pedals, you kind of have to drop your heel a little bit more than you would otherwise. Woo! That was a near loop out on my part. Oh, that's the case. Down, boy, down. No, Hailey. Oh, so a little, that was heavy there. Oh, wow. Woo-hoo. It's hard to gauge the traction on these turns.
What's gonna happen next?
Okay, bye. All right, we're gonna start riding back up.
It's really playing on words.
Oh.
Oh.
But now we're playing with bikes.
Oh my God. Where's Mom?
This is getting ridiculous.
All right, favorite AC/DC song since we're on AC/DC.
Oh, it's gotta be Back in Black. Copyright infringement.
Mine is TNT.
It's what?
TNT. I don't know any of the names of their songs. I just know it's in a BMX video and it was sweet. Neither of us know the trail.
Yeah, I kind of didn't have any idea where the trail is going.
That's okay. Well, I think it makes a right here.
Yeah, I think so. It's a lot. Brap, 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 brap.
All right.
Wow, I see how it is. We wait for you. she refuses.
Meanie butt. Man, this is freshy fresh. All right, before we start doing any manual practice, let me quickly clarify something. So, this is a wheelie because I am pedaling and lifting my front wheel. This is a manual because I was not pedaling and I was just bouncing on my back wheel. There's a big difference, but sometimes it's easy to confuse the names. So I have two bottles set up. Those are going to be the starting points. And both Hailey and Alexander have two different levels of manuals. Hailey has trouble getting into manuals. Alexander can get into manuals. He has trouble holding manuals. And see if we can point out some things we can do to help them manual better. One of the things about the way Alexander wheelies is that he manuals really high. His butt's way above the ground, which makes it hard to balance side to side.
Yeah, I can feel that.
And it's also harder to find your balance point when you're so tall.
And to give reference, the further I standing tall means that distance is short, but if I stick my butt out, it makes it longer. So
exactly.
Oh, that makes sense.
So Alexander is going to try to get into a better position, which means pushing his butt a little further back. Woo. That looked really good.
I have to really focus on being long.
So one of the things I'm noticing about Alexander's wheelies, manuals, is that he tends to bring his hips up really close to the bars when he's about to go back too far, which makes sense. But I think in his case, he wants to pull the brake a little bit more so he stays in a good position, because when he starts to bring his hips forward, he gets out of a good manual position. Yeah, from what I've seen, the little you've been doing, your manuals are looking a lot better and more controlled already. So when I tell people to learn how to do manuals, I would say learn to get your front wheel up in grass, because if you loop out, you're on grass, it's softer. But when you want to learn to hold a manual and balance on your back wheel, the less resistance your back wheel has, the easier it will be to manual. Because the more resistance you have on your back wheel, the more it's acting like a brake and pulling your front wheel down, which is why I often recommend learning to do it on a hill. So Hailey is in a different point. She's having trouble getting up into the point of finding that balance point, or she's having trouble getting to that balance point. And that's one of the things where I like people to run flat pedals. So what we're actually gonna try to do is we're gonna get Hailey to try to loop out on purpose, because now she can jump off the pedals, and you don't want to loop out when you're clipped in, because if you've seen my manual video, you don't want to be a dum-dum. If you loop out, that means you've at least kind of found your balance point and you've gone past it. If you're not able to get to the point of looping out, what that means you'll never get to your balance point.
Right.
Maybe go slower.
Yeah, because the run before that one was better.
Yeah, for looping out, you don't need to be traveling too fast.
When I was learning, Hailey, something that really helped me is thinking of your motion in two separate pieces. Instead of bringing your hips diagonally back, drop, then push back.
I've gone through a bunch of different techniques of trying to figure out, because I hear him explain it all the time. I could explain how to do a manual forever, but
it just takes forever practice.
For some reason, I know what my body is supposed to be doing, and then it's like, okay, now go do it, and I cannot replicate anything. The way that it's supposed to be. It's almost like I want to use my body geometry as a reason why I can't do it, because it's like I know how to do it, I just can't.
I really like the iPhone slow-mo because you can just drag and scroll through the videos really easily. It's a very good tool for analyzing what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. And I think I may have found out a key to why Hailey is struggling, and we're gonna try it. I think one of the things that might help her is trying to compress her rear suspension before getting into the manual, because I think she's losing a lot of her push because her suspension is compressing when she's pulling it. I have a hunch, so we're gonna see if we can work on that. You ready?
Ready, Freddy.
I think you can loop out. Well, we figured out why she's having trouble, because when you go down, that like down with your hips is to compress the suspension.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's the thing she wasn't doing. She was going down, but she wasn't compressing her suspension.
So maybe not forceful enough, is that what you're saying?
She was compressing her front suspension, she wasn't compressing her back suspension.
Okay. Yeah, that would make sense.
So when she would go to do
that looked way better.
Yes!
Yeah.
Yes!
Okay.
Hailey! Hailey! Hailey!
So we saw her do a few wheelies. Why do I keep saying wheelies? A few manuals a second ago. And they just look so much better already. Yo!
Yeah!
I don't know if it's, I don't have it in slow-mo, so I don't know if it's easy to tell right now, but we'll do a few in slow-mo. Yeah.
You see it pausing in the top?
I do.
And a celebratory crane flip.
This is a breakthrough right now.
Seriously, you guys don't even know how long I've been working on this with Phil.
One thing I noticed with your manuals, they got a lot better. Just from that one simple movement of trying to compress your suspension before getting into it. And I think that's the key that's been missing for so long. How do you feel about your manuals? Because they seem to have gone a lot better.
I feel like I know what I need to work on. I still need more time to work on it. It's really not natural for me to lengthen. I've been rounding, and what that entails is me tucking my hips in. I think I need to flatten my back, and then that's it. But this feels so much better when I do it right now. And I know that I'm always like this, and that's when I get up into when I find the spot, the balance spot, when I'm like this, it feels effortless once I get in it.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to find it right now. Wait. The coolest thing is that I learned a skills with Phil trick today.
What did you learn?
I learned endo crank flip.
Yes!
I just may have gone
I knew that was gonna happen too. Never would have known if I wasn't out here messing around in a parking lot.
I learned a cool trick. I learned how to do a knack endo 180. That's probably one of the most ridiculous things ever. Anyway, it's like 9 o'clock and I'm hungry.
So,
With that being said,
we should
probably
hop in the car
and
go home,
and get
beers,
and food. All right, guys. As always, my name is Phil Metz. Thanks for playing bikes with me today. And I'll see you next time. Oh yeah. Go watch his video tomorrow. Or
we'll see you there.
yeah, get stoked.